good day, good day, good day. Listen, I know you're so excited today because why? Because you're alive. Isn't that something to be excited and thankful for? If you're not, you need to count your blessings because I'm sure there are so many people who want to be sitting in your seat right now to just take that breath of air. So let me tell you something. If you woke up mad, if you woke up angry, if you woke up depressed, how about you just sit back right now? Just take about 10 seconds and just breathe. Come on, let's just inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. See, blow that off. Now, didn't that feel better? So whoever you were about to hit or jack up right now, that breath right there took care of that. So it's a wonderful day to be alive. Won't you agree? Good, I got all that out the way. Okay, I'm excited once again to be here. Of course, I'm your host, Regina King, for the Cater to You show. And guess what? You know what we do every Saturday. Cater to You is all about assisting you with relaxation, with reality, and yes, of course, some releasing. So with all that said, today is another day that we're going to get right into this reality topic. That's how we do on the Cater to You show. And our topic for today is going through changes. Oh my goodness. How about that? Going through changes. Are you going through anything in your life? Are you finding it difficult in some area to adapt to some things that are happening, maybe in your family or on your job? How about even in your finances? But we're going to get into that today because change is not actually a bad thing. It's all about how to know how to manage effectively those changes that you see yourself going through. So I am so excited. I have two guests on the show today. To my right here this is a family member of mine. This is Eric King. You happy to be here today, Eric?
Glad to be here.
You ready to talk about going through some changes?
Yes.
All right, good deal. And then we have Tandra Johnson here to talk about changes. Thank you so much, Tandra, for being here.
You're welcome.
And see, I pull you two on because, you know, y'all keep it real. And I just love real people because, you know, when we do these segments, you know, it's always somebody viewing in, you know, and who always, you know, someone is always going to get back with me about a topic that we talk about. So they want to hear the reality, you know, when you're saying going through changes, you know, what exactly is that? Because I know we're sitting in somebody's seat. You know, they're going through so many transformations and shifts. And how about sometimes when we go through this thing, change, we don't even have a say-so. Or a choice in a matter about what we're going through. So let's just open it up like this. Let's just break this change word down, you know. So when you hear that word change or you hear that, you know, phrase, what I'm talking about, you know, Tandra, going through changes, what does that mean to you?
Well, when I heard going through changes, I'm visual. So I immediately thought about the metamorphosis of a butterfly.
Okay, you good with it.
And so you have this slimy little worm, the caterpillar, who basically goes into this dark place, a different environment.
Okay.
You're in isolation at times.
Wow.
You're in the unknown, the unfamiliar. And those are some of the changes that we go through.
Yeah.
But what I love about going through changes is the operative word is through, because you don't stay where you are.
I love it.
And so when I think about that caterpillar, the DNA, the genetics are there for it to become that butterfly, but it has to go through changes, whether internally or externally, to become what God created it to be.
Wow.
So that's what I thought about when you gave the topic going through changes.
That is good. That's good. Eric, what about you going through changes? What strikes in your mind?
One word, different.
Okay.
And change is like when you move from one state to another.
Okay.
Not state meaning, you know, whether it be location or, like she said, a metamorphosis, just something different. It can be positive or negative.
Yeah.
Change is different.
Right, right. And then I want to piggyback on something that you both said. You said, Tandra, you said going through, you know, that's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That means change is moving. You're moving, you know,
Exactly.
it's mobile.
Right.
And what that is for somebody who's watching and, you know, finding it difficult for this change is catastrophe, you know, free for them. That could be encouraging because you're going through, which means that's not going to last forever.
Exactly.
You know, so that
Exactly.
situation is catastrophic, but it's not going to be that way forever. Because, I mean, think about it. God wouldn't dare leave us in that thing. You know, you understand what I'm saying? From now until eternity, you know, so they can get that out of their minds. You're passing through. You know, so how about, you know, maybe Tandra, and you know, piggyback on this. How about if they're going through that thing, it might be for a greater cause, might be for some learning. You understand what I'm saying? You know, what do you think about that too, Eric, as well, going through that? That's real good, because if we're, you know, constantly moving, and God's got something to work with, we're not in that same state, you know, or that same position, you know, that we're in, you know. So change, when you're moving through, you ain't gonna be there long, but it's for a better, might be a better situation, or for some training or learning. What do you think about that?
Right. Yeah. Well, as you allude to progress, and that will give us the idea of the connotation that in that kind of change, it's not change for the sake of change.
Okay.
Sometimes we get in the mindset that because we are dealing with a particular issue or whatever, that we have to do something different. It's not always that we have to, but not all change is progress.
Okay.
The good thing about it is, with God, sometimes He will take you through changes, like you said, state of beings or metamorphosis, or we understand the connotation going through. It gives us the idea that there's another side.
Yeah.
But for us, it's not that we just desire to do change just for the sake of change. Sometimes people just want to do something different.
Right.
But it's not always necessary. Like the Apostle Paul says, all things are lawful for me, but not everything is expedient. It's not necessary.
Necessary. Okay.
And so, as long as we stay within the will of God and follow Him, yes, He will take us through change, but let it be Him that do it.
Wow. Now, Tandra, that was a mouthful. What you got to say about
Well,
that?
I appreciate what he said, because I just started thinking about when God saved us, he saved us the way that we were, but He didn't leave us the way that we were. So we had to change. We have to renew our minds. We have to look at a situation, like you said, not all change is positive. It could be a negative change, but we don't have control over change. We can't control these gas prices. We can't control the weather.
That's real.
We can't control what may the unexpected things that happen in our lives. So we either can resist those changes, or we accept those changes and we move with those changes.
Look at this. And talk to me about this. Do we really have a choice in the matter? Now, I'm going to go on both sides of this.
Okay.
Do we really have a choice in the matter when God when He brings the change? You know what I'm saying? And do we really have a choice in the matter when we cause the change? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when we cause the change, that's all on us. So we're going to get what we deserve, basically. But we can't even change what God allows us to go through, because we don't even own ourselves. We've been bought with a price. So we have to get in the mindset that whatever God allows to change, or for us to go through, to adapt different situations, is for the good. It's for our good, and it's for His glory. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about change, sometimes, y'all know it don't feel good.
No.
Y'all know that stuff is crazy sometimes. You mentioned state, just not physical state, but sometimes it is, because you're moving from one place, one city, one state, one country to the next. That can't be easy. For somebody who's viewing in, they had to leave because they were abused. They didn't want to go because they might have actually loved the person who abused. You understand what I'm saying? Or they might have been on the run from somebody, so they had to go, but they left behind family members. But for the sake of their life, they had to go. So sometimes these changes are painful. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when we have loved ones in the picture. So there are different times that, no, it's not going to be easy when you're going through the change. I don't want anybody to think we're sitting up here saying change is fun, all the time, or change is easy, because I'm one to admit, I don't, sometimes I'm going through a change with having to speak to people I don't want to speak to. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My nerves are short.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever known people to get on your nerves? And so I'm working on mine. I'm working, but I know God is working with me, because I have the tendency that when I see Him coming, I'm going the other way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so He's allowing me, Regina, that's not the way to handle it. How about you try to, speak? You understand what I'm saying? Take this thing slowly and watch how I work through you, because I'm going to do something through you, even though your will doesn't want to do it. So breaking down all of that. Y'all come on and talk about all of that.
Well, for when you said, of course, we're sitting here, and some people might think, oh, they have it together. They just adjust to change so easily. But even for myself, I can sit here and say, specifically with my health, knowing that my whole lifestyle was changing, I didn't easily accept what God has allowed
That's
in
good,
my
Tundra,
life.
that's good.
I've gone through periods where I resisted it. I didn't accept it because there was pain involved. And I don't want to go through pain,
Ooh,
but
no,
of course
ma'am.
now I understand it's for His purpose.
I love it. I love
And
it. I
so
love
it's
it.
just you being intimate with Him and saying, God, not why me, but what is it that you want to do through me in the situation? So it is a change of mindset, a change of perspective, you know,
Yeah.
with what you're going through, good or bad.
That is so good. That is
Yeah.
so good. Pain.
Yes.
And I believe that's a lot of times why we try to resist the change.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Because who wants to wake up and say, okay, I'm choosing change today and I already see the pain I'm going to go through. Did Jesus say that when he knew he had to go to the cross? I'm going to choose this pain.
Right,
This is
right.
a change in my life. But what did he do it for? It was for a purpose.
Exactly.
You know? And the thing about it is, even if we don't know the purpose of the change, but simply can we just trust that God knows what he's doing? You know, what you think about
Well,
that?
you took the words out of my mouth because everything with God, there is a point and a purpose. There's always a point and a purpose. And He gives us, as we all know, He allows us to have a will, which means that we have a choice
Yeah.
to accept or deny. We always have a choice.
Always.
To accept or deny what God has for us.
Yeah.
And in going that, just in the process itself, and we're laughing because we talk about all the time at church about
Yeah.
processes,
Yeah.
procedure, and protocol.
Wow.
What gets us through is we understand that there's a process to everything that God has for us. There is a process, and that
Yes,
in
it
itself
is.
involves change.
Ooh.
The procedures involve change. That means we have to go through certain steps, and the way we do it, it is the way it's established. It's already been done once we realize by faith that we're not the first, won't be the last.
That's true.
We're only
That's
one
true.
part in God's whole grand scheme of things.
Yes.
When we start looking at life like that, then it is easier as we are conditioned by our experiences to embrace the changes that God has for us. Even
Wow.
though that, you know, it might not feel good, it might not be good, but once we, you know, grow, which means change,
Ooh.
we get to the point of Romans 8:20, we know that all things do work together. And that means everything. All things do work
Yeah.
together for good to them that love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose.
Right.
We by faith, and my point is, by faith, we are conditioned,
Yeah.
and you know, we grow to that.
Yeah. Well, talk to someone who's viewing in about the different change. Someone is saying, you know, well, I am experiencing change, but I don't even see all of this positive talk. Y'all up there talking about God. He's trust God and all of this. I don't even see anything happening in my situation when I know he said, you know, I'm dealing with all this change. So where is God in my changing situations? So talk to somebody who's not seeing any results because of the change that they think is supposed to be positive coming from God.
Go ahead, ladies first.
Well, first, I would just tell them, first of all, God is unchanging. So no matter what situation they're going through, he's with them in the midst of that change. And it's just a matter of seeking, trusting, you know, him.
Right.
But then also, again, going back to Romans 12:1-2, it's just like, you know, we have to be renewed in our mind on a daily basis. We have to be willing to adjust to the change.
Wow.
And so I think about, you know, when I was thinking about going through changes and adjusting whenever you're going to dive into a swimming pool. When you go swimming, what's usually the temperature of the water? It's usually cold.
Okay.
But when you get in that cold water, do you automatically get out?
Right,
Because
right.
you're uncomfortable and you don't know what to do. You stay in there and eventually you adapt. And that water gets warm.
I love
and
it.
that's how it is when we go through changes. You're going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to feel good. And you may not even want to be in this place right now of having to go through change.
Right.
But it's a matter of adjusting. It's
love it.
waiting it out.
Yeah.
Waiting it out, literally.
Yeah.
You know, no pun intended with that.
Yeah.
But it's just like knowing that in the midst of everything, God is there with you because he is unchanging.
Now look at this, and I'm gonna let you talk in a minute, Eric. I know you want to say something, but look at what you just said. You said you don't immediately jump out.
Exactly.
You learn how to adjust to
Exactly.
it, and I believe a lot of times, you know, when we're going through these uncomfortable changes, the first reaction is, I want to quit. You know, I just want to throw my hands up. This not for me. This ain't what I heard from God, you know. And it's totally the opposite. How about he want us to adapt, because it can't be all the time about what we want and how we want things to feel. You know, a lot of times when we're going through changes, we think it's something wrong with the process. But how about God knows exactly what change we need, or exactly what we need to go through, or the process to get whatever out, you know. And no, it doesn't have to be anything bad to get out, you know, but for whatever his purpose or goal or vision or plan is for our life. But you have to adapt, you know, because think about it, even in the workforce, you know, if you're going through changes, you know, demotions, promotions, or whatever, staff is, you know, constantly changing around you. You might walk in one day, you might have a brand new staff, you know, you don't know what's going on. So the first thing you want to do is, am I next? You know, am I getting a fix? No. How about, you know, God might be showing you adapt to this, what's going on. It might be some new protocols or procedures in place, but doesn't mean that you have to leave, learn something new that can enhance your growth or enhance your future. It's not about always jumping out of the hot situation, but how about adapting and going through it just to see what the end is going to be, you know?
Yeah. Well, ideally, you said it, is what I said. Like I reiterate again, what we have to realize that, you know, it makes it easier or better for us when we understand the point and the purpose of why we're going. Like say, we don't jump out when you get in the water. You don't jump out. What was the point and purpose for getting in? You know, we went to swim, we went to recreation, we went to exercise, we went to do something to help, something fun, something positive for us. We understood the purpose of getting in.
Yeah.
But when we don't always know the point or the purpose,
talk about
it's where faith is involved. How the scripture says, even that as we go through in our life and even to the next, it says we don't even know when that time comes what we shall be. But what we do know is that when we get there, Bible says we shall be just like him. And so that gives us hope, knowing that one day we will be like him. We may not understand the point or the purpose, but we know God. And knowing him ought be enough. We have to grow to get stronger in accepting what he has for us. It's almost like that movie back in the day, Karate Kid.
Okay.
When they had that boy wax on, wax off. He had no idea. He grumbled, he fussed, did not know. But as he was obedient to his teacher,
I love it.
that when it came time for him to step up, he was a black belt. And he won the tournament. Not knowing that what he was going through was preparing him for a championship. That's why the Lord tells us we are more than conquerors.
That's good.
We don't know why we go through what we go through all the time.
Exactly.
But by faith, we know that one day, whatever he takes us through, it makes us stronger and better equipped to deal with whatever comes down our way.
That is so good. And I know you're watching today and you're trying to figure out what is this they're talking about, you know, experiencing, going through changes, and, you know, who is this God, you know, because I'm just going through some crazy stuff. Can't nobody help me. But my one question to you is, do you know who Jesus Christ is? Because if you know who Jesus Christ is, evidently he's tapping on the door of your heart, because you're trying to do life. You're trying to experience life all by yourself. You're trying to, you know, wake up every day and have your own agenda. You're trying to run your own games. You're trying to run your own life without who we're talking about, and that's Jesus. But I promise you, if you go ahead and accept him in your life, half of the stuff you're going through, the different changes you're going through, then he can eliminate some of those, because Jesus is all about peace. And so all of that you're trying to do on your own, trying to have your own agenda, trying to run your life yourself, if you get to know him and accept him in your life, you can ask him for an agenda, and he will give you one that will guide you in the right way, the truth and the life. That's what he says in his word. So get to know him today, and then you can further understand who we're talking about, that even though we go through the changes, God, who we're talking about, who you need to get to know and accept into your life, will guide you through those changes, because there is a better life for you. There is a purpose for you. God created you with a purpose, but you'll need to get to know him, hook up with him, and get his plan and purpose for your life, and stop trying to do it on your own, because the changes that you're going to go through are going to put you way in a worse situation than the plan that God has for you. So get to know him today. But you can tune in more, because we're going to talk a little bit more about him. Let's keep going. So even with the personal changes that we have in our life. This is what I want to get to, because I want you to, you tap into your heart. What are some of the changes that you went through, and how did you adapt, even in your own experience?